Hey guys, today we will start learning how to play against meran variation in semi-slav defense. Technically meran is more played than bishop g5, but recently meran is not that popular as it used to be. All openings are like fashion. Wherever is in trend, people apply. Let's begin. d4, d5, c4, c6, knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, e6, e3. So this is meran variation. White no longer interested in bishop g5 like we did because we do Botvinnik variation, and with e3 they defend the pawn on c4 and they keep the bishop on c1. So as I mentioned before, meran has been played more than bishop g5 because it's very solid opening with a lot of variations in it. Prior to this day, basically, yes, and maybe even earlier, I did mention that I'm going to be teaching you knight bd7. And this is what I played for maybe like 5 years. And then for the past 2 years, I played a6. Knight bd7 is much more complicated and much more rich in the variations. The problem is there are some lines I'm not quite sure if I'm able to show you a full equality or any good ideas, just maybe because I know it way too well for white. But the reason I'm not showing you knight bd7 is this. For example, in the queen c2 variation, that's more annoying. When in the bishop d3, let's say take b5 here and a6, where e4 and c5 are the main lines, here white have two approaches to go e5 or d5. And this would be like a world champion Kramnik against Anand, when Anand won twice with black, but Kramnik had slightly better position and they found an improvement, where d5 is so complicated and so long that, you know, it may be better to stay away. And maybe this is, let's say, not the biggest problem in meran, as I think the biggest problem right now in meran is the queen c2, where after bishop d6, all people play this, bishop d3 is very strong. Now, maybe I know some equality in some lines. I played this, I don't know, maybe 5-10 tournament games. Overall, I have a more positive result, but whenever I played like people who are 26, 2700, they just outplay me with this move. A move like g4, Shirov or Shabalov attack, it's called. It's okay because the game was played between Magnus Carlsen and Aronian. Aronian won that game in a very beautiful way. With h6, I don't think that's dangerous. But again, this is just way too much and very complicated. Instead, this is the reason I actually switched to a6. And I would like to show you basically 4 main lines that arise from here. Today we will cover both lines. We will cover this move c5, and we will also cover queen c2. I will show you how to play against those. And on our next lesson, I will show you variations with bishop d3 and b3. So nowadays, queen c2 and b3 are the most professional moves. They've been played the most. Bishop d3 is people who hope to get the same meran positions as, for example, after bishop d3, take b5 here, we will immediately play c5, and there is no pawn on e4. It's a big difference. That's why we do this a6. We're also not afraid of queen c2. I will show you after this c5, but let's do it step by step. So right now we're gonna do c5. So this move is interesting. It's not that strong as in Chebanenko variation. If you watch my d4 course, I was covering this Chebanenko variation with a6 and recommending this c5 with idea of bishop f4, a very strong idea. And then I showed lots of secrets how to maneuver with this bishop back and forth. And with the meran system, it's a little different. We basically force them to play e3, and now after a6 we're no longer afraid of bishop f4 because it doesn't exist, nor we're afraid of c5. So let's go and see this c5 move. So we're gonna play knight bd7, and now we give a choice to white what they should do. Now they have 3 moves, and I would say 2 main lines. One is just basically not a serious move anymore, but your opponent might play bishop d3 simply because he doesn't know what to do. And I think the simplest way to play against it is e5. For example, if they take with pawn, we go knight g4, attacking this pawn, there's no way to defend. Knight a4 is the best move to defend this pawn somehow. Then we take on e5, take, attacking this bishop, castle. We could take and play bishop e6, that's already equality. We can play for a little bit, maybe more bishop e7, knight b6, rook b8. And after, let's say, b4, we go bishop f6, and if rook b1, let's say castle. I mean, Look at this, guys. This is a weak square on b6, right? But what is this knight really doing there? Is it really annoying us? I don't think so. The only thing it could do is take this bishop. And if it don't, for example, I will move my bishop away, I will move my queen away, then I'm going to put my rooks on d8 and e8, and this knight is just left here by itself. Yes, it's a weak square, but there's nothing to do. So we're okay with that. I don't think that actually this bishop d3 is anything serious. One more line, if they take with knight, is actually interesting. We take here, and we also play knight g4, attacking that pawn e5, f4, and bishop takes c5, attacking pawn e3, and if queen f3, queen b6, attacking the pawn on e3 again, only move knight d1, and very strong move knight h6. It feels like we're backing up, but we are preparing both moves, bishop g4 and bishop f5. If castle, we go there, here, and bishop f5. Takes, knight takes, and if g4, we just go knight e7. This position is slightly preferable for black. Moves like h5 we really want to play, and depending on what white's going to do, we will then therefore decide on our plan. So again, bishop d3 is going to be a lower rated player who will play this move against you. If he played against you c5, that means he knows what he's doing, right? It means he feels like he wants to play like Gelfand against Anand in the World Championship with queen c2. And this is what we're going to cover first. So queen c2, this is a better move because now e5 is not that strong and we can't really go e5. So we're going to go b6. We're breaking up the pawn chain immediately. The best moves to take. What happens if we go b4? It is always an automatic move, a5, as there's no a3 because we take b4 and take the rook on a1. So after a5, we break the pawn chain. They could probably go move like b5, not a big deal. We can just go bishop b7, and these will collapse, and then this queen is standing in a weird position. I would take black. But again, I don't think people play like this. Whoever played queen c2, he knows he needs to take. Then we take immediately on b6. Bishop d2, quickly development on the queen side. c5, we cannot wait. Rook c1 is the best move. We take, and bishop d6. We are following the game Gelfand against Anand. And after bishop g5, I recommend to castle. Bishop d3, attacking this pawn, we should play h6. Bishop h4, and now we go bishop b7. And of course, white finished their development. And here in the game, Anand played queen b8, and I think I found an improvement, and not maybe only me. Maybe when this World Championship was happening, maybe commentators were mentioning this move, but even before this game, I already had this analysis, and the bishop f4 I still check is still the best move. So bishop f4, attacking the rook goes away, knight goes back to g7, that frees our queen. Rook e1, queen c7, and after queen e2, we just play rook fc8. Now, this game is still rich, and it is absolutely unexplored. There's no games. As I already told you, bishop f4 was a novelty. All we know, this is at least equal for you. White has isolated pawn, and their advantage is 2 against 1, which they can never use because we have so many pieces on this side, and we're very solid on the king side. So, queen c2 is a possible try, but let's not overrate that move. It's just okay. I think overall, b4 is the main line, and of course, it's been played by, let's take a look by how many more times versus queen c2. Take a look. So b4 is 200 times, and this is just online official games. If I would click reference, I would have many more games. Let's close this. So let's take a look at b4. Now, why your opponent wants to play b4? He doesn't want to spend time on queen c2 or bishop d3 because he wants to have a pawn chain, this nice pawn chain like that. And what he expects us to do, he doesn't expect us to play g6, that's what we're going to prepare. He expects us to play b6, and then he will play a3 or bishop b2, let's say like this, or let's say like that, or even bishop d2. Let's see what people do in this variation. They play bishop b2, and if a5, they want to play a3. So they want to have this nice pawn structure like this and keep our position close. And if we try bishop a6, they're going to have some nasty tricks with take, and b5 that we don't want to allow. So we don't want to do this. And that's what your opponent wants us to do, but we're going to play here g6. Not that he doesn't know this move, but maybe he doesn't know the idea. So bishop b2, bishop g7. He develops, we develop. He develops, we develop. Everything was nice. Now we are preparing this move, e5, and nothing can really stop it. We want to play rook e8 if he's going to do something about it. But the best move for him is knight a4. I don't know what else he can do. So they play knight a4. They can also play queen c2, for example. But if, let's say, they wait, they don't play knight a4, we're going to hit with e5. Take, 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 take. And if knight b5, at the beginning, computer screaming, white is winning. But after just queen e7 and knight d6, I just go knight e8. Let's say if you take knight takes c8, rook takes c8, and take here, I can just take, and position is equal. But again, I'll just probably take this position with black because I like this pawn on d5. My knight will go back to f6, and I'll try to control the dark squares. I cannot win probably, but that's going to be a draw. So knight a4, that's what computer likes, and many grandmasters play this move. But it's been established now that knight e4 is so strong, it's basically opening up this bishop and preparing e5. There's no way to stop it. This knight is annoying. They're going to play knight d2. We trade, and quickly play e5. We just want to play rook e8. Amazing position. If they take, we take with bishop, attacking here. They take, we take on e5. They want to trade. If they don't, we just want to develop with these moves. Queen d4, rook e8. I just want to show you what happens if they trade. We take with rook. Rook d1, knight f6. We don't care if the knight goes to b6. I will show you. Again, even here, for example, without moves like a3 or anything, like knight here. So we can say, congratulations, you got on a weak square. I'm going to go rook b8, right? Next move, I move my bishop. Next move, I move my rook. You either take my bad bishop while it's on c8, or let me develop it and I'll play rook e8, and then you will have a bad knight. Basically, it's outpost, but just a bad outpost because it's not in the center of the game. So I have h3. It's already computer moves. Bishop f5, a3, and g5. This is a very strong move, and I wrote only black can be better here. That happens if they go trade the queens. If they don't, they're going to play bishop d3. We will play rook b8 as a good prophylaxis move. Rook e1, knight f6, develop. And I put the quality because I don't know what white can possibly do in this position. I still like these positions with black. I want to just develop maybe with bishop f5, and it just depends on what they will play. I'm going to show you some evaluation just to see what's happening here. Computer will establish that this is going to be soon complete equal. He makes move like f3. That's a big weakening move, I think, but he somehow likes it. Why can't I, for example, go bishop f? Let's see. So what? If he takes, okay, I take 2. And if he takes, I take 2. And if he goes g4, I will just go back to rook e5. And if computer going to continue playing that bad, we can even beat computer, because what is he doing? Now he's going to go knight b2. Okay, I think black is just better. What is this weakness? My pawn is much stronger here. And already h5, and I'm better. I just made 5 moves by myself, and computer played his best move, and he's already in trouble. That's what it is. This is actually not a big deal nowadays, because it's been established that c5 is no longer a good move. And that's why we don't see that much, and therefore I started with this variation. And now we're going to go into this queen c2 variation, which is going to be a real big deal for us, okay? All right, let's move on. All right, so now we have queen c2. Another file. Let's switch board back to black pieces. So d4, d5, c4, c6, knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, e6, e3, a6. I would like to make a little pause here and explain again why we don't really play knight bd7, which seemingly better move. Because again, when they play bishop d3, take b5 here, no matter what, we want to play a6 here just to play c5. And by the time we play a6, he has this e4, and by the time I play c5, he has a choice, e5 or d5, okay? And we don't want to give him that choice. That's why we play a6, and if he goes, let's say bishop d3 again into mainline meran, we take the pawn, take, b5, moves away, c5. No chance for playing for him e4, because I'll just take d4 pawn. I mean, technically it maybe works like this, and after this maybe he can go like that. But after a simple move like bishop b7, black is already better. I even like in this position move like rook a7. Really like this move with the idea rook going to d7. And then maybe bishop b7. But of course it's going to create a lot of trouble here for white. I think maybe black is already winning. I just maybe made up this move, rook a7. Let's take a look with engine. Not winning, but was it the best move? So bishop b7, knight bd7, rook a7. And he thinks just better just develop. Don't even play rook a7. Okay, so what move we want to play? Probably bishop b7. Let's just do whatever I recommended first. Okay, it's an explanation of why we want to play overall a6. So now they're gonna go queen c2. They're trying to be smart. They're trying to win the tempo. For example, I could play a move like knight bd7, because c5 would transpose to b6, right? They could actually play here bishop d3, and after take, b5 here, I could also play a move like c5. That looks good, right? But things like this would not happen, because after I go knight bd7, in this position they have a very strong move, b3. And now basically, in the variation I'll be showing you when we're going to play directly against b3, like this. We will play bishop b4, and we don't even rush with the knight d7 move. We will play differently. Our knight sometimes will go to c6. That's why it's so precise that against queen c2, we will not play knight bd7, guys, okay? We will play directly c5. A very, very strong move. Now, the reason we want to open up this file, because we want to say, hey, your queen is kind of shaky here, and my rook is going to come here and cause some problem. So what they do, most of the time, almost 95%, they're going to take the pawn on d5. I looked at, some people did this, but this is just bad. We take with bishop, a3, threatening b4. I just take, they take, b5, bishop d3, knight bd7, knight e4. I'm showing only the best moves white, and some grandmasters played like that. We go bishop e7. Take f6 is the best move, takes f6, castle, and bishop b7. So I want to just play rook c8, if queen e2, knight e4. This, I think, is already novelty. No one ever played move like this. Let me quickly see. Yes, this is, so Turov against Kabalia, queen d5 was played. Let's mark this knight e4 novelty. No one ever mentioned this move before. I analyzed this move, and I really like this move, and this is the only move that gives black's advantage here. I'm going to show you evaluation here. As you can see, computer also like this knight e4, gives this is for sure the best move, and recommends for white basically a rook d1, but then we're going to play queen b6. Computer is debating between queen c7 and queen b6, and I think just queen b6 is more safe square. It's a better square because I don't want to be exposed on the c file, and I would just play this position with black. Little advantage. He says that take, but again, this is just, I don't really like this for white. So that's why let's not afraid of that d takes c5. It's just a random move. I think no one would do that against you. Whoever plays queen c2, right, means he knows something about meran. But let's not forget, how much does your opponent know about a6? Let's say he might know queen c2. How much does he know about c5? The chance is less and less. But let's see. So we're going to recommend him best move. So he's going to take, we're going to take. Now his best move is exclusively bishop e2. There's nothing else really to do. This is just an awkward square for the bishop, because after you go bishop d3, I go knight c6 with a tempo of threatening knight b4. Bishop is not belonging there. Also, sometimes I want to play with c4 with tempo. So of course bishop goes to e2. There is no other moves for the bishop. Now we're going to play bishop e6. Now this is a big difference. Your opponent for sure doesn't know this move, because all your opponent knows is the main line, which is knight c6. I'm going to show it to you. So as you can see, knight c6 been played 273 times, 55%. Bishop e6, 55% also, but less times, about 4 times less. The difference is actually enormous. Bishop e6 is so much better than knight c6, and I'm going to explain you why. So when we go bishop e6, we also wait for your opponent what he's going to do. For example, for some moment this move was trendy. D takes c5, bishop takes c5. About 5 grandmasters played like this in a row in 1 year, and then I was forced to learn this all. It also happened that one of the chess players played this against me. I think his name is Teddy Coleman. Castle, he played castle, so knight bd7. That's, for example, already a reason why knight goes to d7, because I don't really want to block my rook. So let's see, knight d7. I also defend my bishop on c5. So b3 is the best move. Bishop d3 is what was played in my game. I played rook c8. Queen b3, I played b5. a3, knight b6. Just amazing position. Look at this. Rook f d1, and here I wrote, if I would play knight takes d2 followed by knight e4, white's position is strategically lost. True, yes, I remember this moment. If I take a knight e4, then position is very difficult. Let's see why. So computer is screaming play queen h4, g3, and then he goes queen h6. Somehow our position is so good. What if he just plays queen d3? We just go rook e8, so somehow this position is not good for opponent anymore. I'm going to play human move. Rook c1, queen f6, attacking f2, f3, let's say, knight d6, and just weaknesses, and black has 2 bishops. Okay, alright. I don't think what I played was also that bad. I played knight e4 and the game went into some complication. I think it ended as a draw. I might win, but I think maybe it was a draw. In any case, so bishop d2 is not that good. So another variation of what happens if they take on e6. We just take, and of course rook c8, of course bishop b4, it's very easy, and queen a5. Now we are attacking this pawn on a2 if rook ac1, and we're going to take it. Here and rook e8. We're definitely better here. Of course here, why would they actually go rook ac1? Why wouldn't they go here? But as we can see, when they took our bishop, we took back on a6 with pawn, and now this is hanging here, and we can utilize that. So the best move here would be bishop a3 to trade those dark square bishops, and after trade, we have a very nice position where we, controlling this file, we have an enormously powerful queen here to attack the rook on c1. This is some weaknesses here, and we want to jump with our knights. You know, at some point we're going to be very jumpy here, and black's position is better here. It's about equal plus. Alright, so this is basically what happens if he goes into this line, and now let's take a look at b3 variation. That's the best move. We still go rook c8, bishop b2. We will play b5, threatening to win the piece with b4. Queen moves to d2, pinning him and threatening very nasty knight e4. f3, of course, and queen b6. Another weakness just appeared, and we want to attack it with, of course, rook on e8. Rook c1, rook e8. Look how beautiful black's position. We just want to attack everything here. Bishop f1, knight e5, queen f2, and bishop d6. a4, again, this is not going to happen. I'm just showing the best moves for white. Bishop d7, and I want to show you just a trick where we seemingly blundering this pawn. In fact, for example, if they do take, we have a very nasty knight eg4, and position is like -8. Completely losing position. So if they take, we just take with knight. And I don't know where this queen is supposed to go here. Looks like it's completely losing. If queen goes anywhere like that, then rook takes e3 probably wins completely. So let's say if queen f3. If I go rook takes e3, maybe knight d5 is the move. Oh wait, what about bishop takes h2 here and queen h6? That should be completely winning, because you don't have that. I have knight f2, and that's just attacking the queen, and knight itself attacking the queen. The game is over. Okay, so if they don't fall in our trap, let's say they move their queen away, we just play queen b8 and have attack here. Okay, I put equality just to be nice. I think black is much better here, but computer will say that's equal. Alright, so we actually now done with the take on c5. It was just a temporarily fashionable move for some time, but then they realized they better castle. That allows knight to c6. As you can see, if they would take, then our knight goes to d7. That's how smart we are. But if we would not play bishop e6, perfect move order, if we would play knight c6, that would then allow maybe take, and we don't have knight bd7 anymore. Good point. Okay, so after castle, then we put knight on c6. If knight e5 is dubious because of rook c8, so they're gonna go rook d1, and we're gonna play knight b4. Now, for sure, your opponent has no idea what's happening, and I'm showing you just my analysis now. Although people played like this, many grandmasters played like this. This is still unexplored territory, and if you're a very high-rated player, this is very useful for you. You're gonna win some games, that's for sure. No one knows this. The only one problem for me, if my future opponent going to see this and prepare something, that's not good. But I don't think any grandmaster would watch my videos right now and just like try to figure out what to do. And if not a grandmaster, then it's okay, I will survive. So that's the only problem for me. I'm just giving all these secrets that I analyzed for years, but I really want you to use them in your games. And if something like this happens and you're able to win the game, inside you will just tell yourself, wow, I'm so glad I learned this. That would be my best reward. Alright, back to this. Knight b4, queen is hanging 2 squares. Queen d2, we're gonna go knight e4. I have to admit, you have to memorize those moves, okay? It's not much, we're just only on move 11. Take, take, attacking the knight on f3, and they go a3. So for example, why they don't go here knight e5? The place for this knight is very suspicious. I would isolate that pawn, c takes, e takes, and play bishop d6. This seems very legit. We now have a square for the knight on d5, and we just want to castle. And if I evaluate this position, would that be better or it will be equal? I'm slightly better. Look at a3, I go knight d5. What they do? What's human move? Queen c2, okay, it's computer move. I just defend, and now I want to play rook c8. f3, rook c8, of course. Queen b3. I don't want to give up my bishop. I want to play queen e7. And if f takes, bishop check g6, bishop g4. I'm using just computer analysis, never analyzed this position before. So if I take, you take, madness happening. I'm winning somehow. Bishop takes g4, attacking the rook, rook takes d5. Ooh, bishop e6, and now upon exchange. Alright, I'm winning. Good analysis using engine, but it's not forbidden when we're learning chess. Let's close this. Okay, let's go back where we are. We are 95. We just randomly analyze the move. So if a3 now, we take the knight on f3. So your opponent will not find a3 because you're like, oh, why would I lose a piece? He would not realize that after this, knight c6, he has this d5. It's just already impossible to see. So we're good here. It's going to go in a very crazy variation, 95. Let's just look. Take, 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 take. I don't want to explain to you these moves because I don't think it's happening. Let's just see the moves. Let's just memorize the moves. Check here, bishop e7, queen e4, king f7, take, rook d8, bishop d2, rook b8, queen e4, rook b2. These are 100% the best moves. I just before this lesson analyzed everything with engine. Takes f2, rook g1, queen h5. If they play something else, they will probably be big trouble. Rook takes g7, king e8, and I put equality sign because this is now perpetual check. The problem is we cannot win. They have this rook g8 check, king f7, attacking this rook again, check, and I go back. That's how the game should end. If they try to win, they cannot win. This, and let's say this. So now they defended the pawn on h2, and it seems like my best move is rook d7 here because I need to make him, force him to make this draw. If he goes queen f4, then of course my endgame is better. After queen takes f3, takes f3. I'm up a pawn right now, and most likely I'm going to win this. Yes, they have a draw. It's a crazy draw. Queen d2, imagine this. Knight e4, take, take, a3. Okay? They have to sack a piece, then win it back, and then find all these impossible moves. Okay, we know this is never going to happen. We just kind of assume queen d2 is possible, but really, what he's going to play after this? This. Is he really going to go back? I'm sure he's going to go knight e5. That variation that I actually entered to is very useful. Take, take, and bishop d6. Very useful variation. In any case, he has a better move, queen b1. Even though computer doesn't recognize this as better, but after, let's say, 10-20 minutes, he knows this is a better move. Now we're going to play queen c8. Now, this for sure no one knows. So the idea being bishop f5. This is a very strong move. And let's say he has two moves to counter it, right? One is e4, another is bishop d2. If he goes e4, take the pawn, take, pin. No worries, queen is defending the bishop. So there's no tricks like knight takes here. It just loses for them because I just basically win material now. Bishop d3, take with whatever. Take like this, take. We don't have c4. Maybe we do have c4. Because if check, I can block. This is still kind of trapped. I mean, they have rook here. Maybe I can insist on queen c6 and stuff. No, then rook takes e7. I have to be careful. Maybe I just take it up on exchange. Let me just confirm with the engine. c4 is the best. Bishop e7 is the best. Rook e4. This is absolutely sick. I'm so glad I looked at this. Look at this move. Queen e6. And if takes, pawn takes. Have you ever seen such sickness before? Takes f5, takes f5. Traded queens and up on exchange. Wow. Only engine can see moves like this. So beautiful, crazy. Queen e6. Wow. Amazing. Okay. No e4 for them. No e4. They can play bishop d2, then bishop f5, and queen c1, and we push c4. Guys, we entered for sure already like 2500 level. Of course, I don't think that's going to happen, but in case, I don't want anyone just to say, oh, this is the most critical line, there was this game. Let me see what game was played. That is the most important game. Rublevsky, I think. This Wang Yu against Rublevsky, most critical game. And as you can see, a lot of GMs played these positions, with a3 being the best move here. And I have analysis, we're going to cover that, with a3 being the best move and being played the most. But knight e5 is still better. And you see, these games are all 2011, 10, only one game 2015. People just don't know that knight e5 is a better move. Indeed, knight e5 is a better move, scored less, but accident happened there. But a3 is just not a big deal. It's just a common move. Knight c6, b3, b5. I'm going to show you refutation I found. Take, take, e4, bishop take, rook e1, bishop d6. Let's see how many games here now left with this. Only one guy in 2013 played like that. And the bishop takes c4 was already not the best move in this position. Knight takes e4 was the best move. So if he takes here, and they think this is better, I think they're wrong. Angel will prove why. So we're going to castle. I like that. They're going to then play knight takes e4. Then it's the same position. Then we transpose. D takes e4. We basically transpose. So I had this variation. They take on e4, we take, and then they take c4. Castle. Now they play knight g5. This is the best move. And I go knight takes d4. They go knight takes e4. You can just check my analysis versus engine, right? Bishop e5, best move. Bishop b4, best move. We take on e4. They take on f8. If they take f8, we have knight f3 check. That's how we win. Knight f3 check. G takes, queen h3, amazing move. f4, check, king f1, bishop takes f4. It's all the best. And as you can see, computer realizes this is losing. Yeah, this is not good. Now, I forgot to enter this most critical line is, of course, rook takes e4. That's going to be the main line. Best move is queen f5. If rook takes e5, queen takes e5, bishop takes f8, and king takes f8. And as you can see, position is at least equal, but I would prefer to play this with black because we have a knight and powerful queen in the center, and our king is going to be very safe. Now I will tell you quickly, reveal something before I finish this line. How did I started this line and why? For example, in 2012 or 2013, I played this one game against, it's funny to say, it's really not a game, but I will show you what happened. So let's go to this game, as you can see. So Sargsyan, Amanov. This was, let's open this game. This was Chicago Open 2012, and that was round number 9. I want to tell you like a little story about this. Basically, after round 8, this guy, Gabriel Sargsyan, was, if he's from Armenia, a very strong player. He was half a point ahead of the whole field at Chicago Open. And I was on the second place, and I was the only one who didn't play Gabriel. And we had about 3 hours to prepare before the game. And so I was driving home, and Grandmaster Alejandro Ramirez, he stayed at my house. We were driving home, and I was asking him, what do you think is going to happen? And he's like, well, he's going to just offer you a draw. And I say, well, no, I'm going to most likely decline, but it depends on the variation. If he plays the annoying line, then maybe I would have to take. And so I go to the game, and we execute these moves, and I played a6, and there was a long pause by him. He didn't expect that. He was expecting knight bd7, and this was the first time I was implying a6 as a new surprise weapon. And after 5 minutes of thought, he played queen c2, and he offered me a draw. So this draw, and I want you to understand why I tell you this. This is a very important strategical moment. So imagine this. You played already 8 rounds, and this is the last round. If you make a draw, it guarantees you basically second place. You win some money, a decent amount of money. You don't get first place like he did. He won like $10,000 plus tiebreak, something like this, as he got clear first. And here I was thinking for maybe 10 minutes before I accepted the draw. I realized this. I know all this c5 line. Back to our file. So I think here, so I'm going to play c5, right? That's what I prepared. And then I'm going to execute all the best moves. And in the best case scenario, I will just equalize against a player who is, how many points he was higher than me. So his FIDE was 26.79 and my FIDE was 25.18. So he's like 161 points higher than me. How do you really beat a player this caliber with black pieces in the last round? You're going to equalize maybe after 20 moves, but then you can still make a mistake. You can still play a novelty on you. And decision of making this draw, I wanted to just get out of this stress and just agree to a draw. And then after like some month, I was questioning my decision. Should I have done this? Because, for example, if I win like $2,000 tying for second place versus winning a first place if I beat him $10,000, is he really 5 times better than me? But that's not how you take this. You should just take the chances how many times you can possibly win this position against a player who is 160 points higher than you, and he's playing with white. So overall, I don't regret this decision. I took it, and it was a good tournament for me. And overall, that year was very good for me. I want to finish the analysis of this Queen C2 A6 variation. I just wanted to tell you the story how this variation actually started to be developed. You know, when I already prepared for this game, it's not like 3 hours preparation. I spent about 3 to 4 months preparing this variation, and I felt like I knew everything. And today I'm showing you this Queen C2, then I'm going to show you B3, and I also have to show you Bishop D3. So let's see where we stopped. We stopped after this A3, right? I just proved this not being the best move anymore. Knight E5 is the best move, and Bishop D6 I would play. He would play either B3 or A3, and when I say he and possibly your opponent, I always refer to that because in my mind I was preparing to the Sargsyan, and I was like, what he could possibly do? I know all the moves. All this preparation I made with this 3 hours before the game and reviewing the lines just to make sure I know everything. Because I knew if I play on, I probably wouldn't lose in the opening. If I ever lose, I'll probably just blunder something, or time pressure, something will happen. There's no new move he can possibly play against me. That's why maybe I should have played this line, because there's nothing new they can really do. So B3 or A3. Let's take a look. If A3, now Knight C6, F4, castle, Bishop F3, attacking pawn on D5, Queen E6. Take C4 is the best move, because they have this D5, we take D5 and play Queen G6. Really smart idea. We sack a pawn, but because we're going to get very strong initiative here. Rook A C8, Bishop D5, B5. It's all computer moves, best moves. Bishop E1, B4. Take, take. Bishop F2. Knight takes D5. Rook takes D5, Bishop B4. And I'm just showing you what in case is going to happen. This is where I stop, and I put equal plus. It's funny, right? We're down a pawn, but we're playing for win, because we're going to play Bishop E4, and they have to always protect this spot. We're going to play quickly Rook C8, and we have like threats like Rook C1 and Rook C2. Practically, it's better to play with black. I don't think it's possible to win against a strong player, but against anyone below 2200, it's very easy to win this position with black. So A3 is covered. B3, we're going to play B5. If E4, this is super complicated. Again, very hard to memorize all this, but I have to show you this for the line to be complete. Queen D8 is absolutely best move. Take, take, take. This sacrifice is very strong. I don't want to explain you like why this all like this happens, because probability of this happening is very low. Castle, nevertheless, it has to be shown. Bishop takes H2, amazing combination. King takes H2, Knight D3. Here I will just explain you just for the sake of chess. Forget about opening. Let's forget that this is happening. Just enjoy chess. So the idea of this trick is that we have this check, and we want to see where the queen goes. So if queen stays on C2 or C3, we're then going to go Queen H4 check, here, here, and we can, if we want to, just go back and forth check. If you want to play for win, play Rook AE1. If they're going to play move like King here, you're winning after Rook E8. Rook F or E doesn't matter. You're just winning here. Let's see. Rook A or E doesn't matter. You're just winning here. They have to take, take, and as you can see, they cannot hold this position. You can analyze more at home. Let's go back. They have to go King H2, and somehow they survive. Now Rook E8 is not that strong. They have this Queen C3, and I didn't analyze any longer because I don't understand this all computer moves. It's just, I know, impossible to get. What was my point? I wanted to understand why Bishop X2 is so strong. So what happens if he goes, let's say, Queen F1? And now he's no longer attacking this pawn on C4. Then we have F5. And we're winning here. Then I tried, what happens if he goes Queen takes C4 instantly? Then the trick is, this bishop is not defended. Then we check, check, and take. And we're winning again. So it's a lot of subtleties like this. People have no idea what this is all about. We don't even remember probably how we got there, right? Because will your opponent play moves like this? No, he will not play. I just have to show and complete the line, because what if one day you're a grandmaster and you're playing against a grandmaster, and you can still use this analysis. And I tell you 100%, use this analysis against any grandmaster in the world, because I was about to play this against Gabriel Sargsyan, who was 26, 70 something FIDE rated, and I would be fine. I will just show you any evaluation. We're always fine. Anywhere I click, let's say even the main line, b5. Look at this. Take, the best move, right? Take. a3, best move. Knight c6. Knight takes d5. And here I put this novelty move, knight takes d5. I'm going to show you why it's novelty. I click online. These people took on e5 and both lost, Rubeslavsky and Svetushkin. But they didn't know knight takes d5, and I'm going to show you. Knight takes d5, knight takes c4. And this is an interesting moment actually here. Until today, my file was bishop b8. And today I replaced it with queen e6. I basically refute today bishop b8. This move I had for years, and I'm glad I found an improvement. So after bishop f3, queen c7, this is what I had again, attacking h2, g3, bishop e6, knight a5, the best move, take, take. We can't take on a5 because queen c6 check, we go queen d7, e4, knight f6, bishop b4, I'm up a piece, a5, bishop c5, bishop g4, and somehow here, before today, my original file, which I didn't show it to you, has move e5. It just didn't have this simple move, bishop takes g4, queen takes g4, and rook b1. I didn't have that. And being up a piece, I'm still in a worse position. I could not actually found an equality here for black. But no worries. Bishop b8, I found an improvement, and queen e6 is the best move. I'm going to just show it to you, so you know I'm talking truth. So queen e6 is the best move. They go bishop f3, we castle. That's all I wanted, you guys to castle. Knight takes d6, takes d6, and they go e4. Otherwise, they're down a piece. We take d4, they take f5, and the best move is take f3 and take f3. And queen f6, last move on my file, and I wrote, for sure I would play this with black. We have a slight negative, and let's just look at the position. He has 3 terrible pawns, and believe it or not, this is one of the most critical lines, and this is what he will get. And if you know everything, you will arrive right here. This is move 24. It's very deep. I'm pretty sure, I'm telling you 100%, if you're going to play anyone who plays queen c2 against you, I will tell you where it will end. So he will know that he will need to take. He might naturally play those moves like this. And after rook d1, let's say, when you're going to play knight d4, that's it. He's on his own. Look at my PGN files. Watch this video again. Look what happens in both cases. I feel like he's going to play queen d2. If he goes here, queen c8, done for sure. Zero chance he knows or she knows what to do. Alright, I'm done with all my secrets on queen c2 variation. On the next lesson, we will go to the second part where after a6, I will teach you how to play against bishop d3, and I'll teach you how to play against b3. As for now, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I'll see you next time. Bye.